what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. Shady, what's up, dog? What's going on?
Oh, not too much. How are you, T-Bob?
Doing very well. And, you know, again, like I said, we use On3 every day here on the show. And I have been fascinated as of late, Shea, as to maybe the most random enemy for an LSU Tiger fan that I would not expect to find this offseason in the form of Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks, okay? Not only are they the ones that end up with Dorian Brew, they come and take DeCorian Moore, and now DJ Pickett bumping up his commitment date to the 18th. And Wilt Fong saying a couple of days ago, if he had to choose today, it would be the Ducks. Let's start with Pickett. Where does LSU stand with the 5-star plus here 8 days ahead of his commitment?
Yeah, July 7th, a little more than a week to go, Heath. And I think we're at the part where LSU had led, from January when Corey Raymond got hired to now. And what DJ Pickett said before Corey Raymond got hired, he had not looked much into LSU or visited. He ended up getting hired. I think he visited T-Bob 5 times in 5 months and then made an official visit. So obviously very sincere interest. We thought that, okay, Miami will make a push eventually. They have NIL money. He is the number 1 corner in America and a guy from Florida. But it ends up being Miami and Oregon. And as you noted, we've seen Oregon go on this run where DeCorian Moore, the one-time 5-star LSU commit, popped for the Ducks. Dorian Brew, the son of Derek Brew, who ran track at LSU, 5-star corner, he popped for the Ducks. And now we're seeing DJ Pickett announce. So we're not to signing day yet, but I will say that he revealed this info that he would announce within 2 weeks, about a week ago. This past week and the 8 days that are coming feel like a signing day with kind of what's going on behind the scenes, both the pitch for development, NIL. You've got to remember, this is a guy who early in his process, Corey Raymond put, the family, the Pickett family, in connection with Patrick Peterson's family, being evil folks from Florida, sons of former 5-stars or 5-stars, number 1 corners, looking at LSU. And that relationship got to a point where when DJ Pickett made his official visit this past month in June to LSU, Patrick Peterson flew in for it and was on the official visit. I mean, they had those photos of them standing together looking at the Thorpe Award. So LSU is pitched heavily. Hey, look, you see where we're at DB. You see what we've done in the past with corners, and you're the type of guy we need. Now we're in the NIL world, and Oregon is playing for keeps here. I mean, they are absolutely one of the premier teams when it comes to flexing your muscles. I'll say this. This is one of those guys where LSU is not going to go down without a fight, even on the NIL side. So I am very intrigued to see what happens in 8 days and then what happens from there, because from the very start of this recruiting process, beyond a Bryce Underwood or a Harlem Berry or, guys like that, DJ Pickett's the guy we've talked about the most, because he is the most talented corner in the country, and beyond DT, and they, look, I think maybe more so than anywhere on the roster, corners an area that they have to fix.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, was maybe the biggest point of emphasis in this recruiting class as far as position, because over the last couple of days, you've really done some big things on the defensive front. What are some of the names that committed to LSU over the last couple of days, knowing that was probably your biggest position of need?
Yeah, so defensive tackle, the first two, they had no commits at all beyond what Keelan Mays was committed before the staff got here. The only defensive commit they had up to a couple of weeks ago was Charles Ross, coming out of the North Shore in Houston, a linebacker. They popped Jesse Harold a couple weeks back, an edge rusher out of Florida. And now we see the dominoes start to fall. And we talked about this before, Jake, when the offensive staff, they have the number one quarterback in the country, number one overall player, number one running back. They've got probably the best O-line haul so far, but they're also all the same coaches from a year ago. They're coming off having the number one offense. They had a Heisman winner. The defense, everyone got let go. So all of these guys who came in, whether they're experienced like a Bo Davis or not, Jake Olson, who's younger in his career, you're building your board, you're getting to know guys, you're inviting them in for visits. Then you get into the eval period, then you have June official visits. So it was going to take a little bit longer for dominoes to start dropping on defense. But here we are. In this past week, they got Brandon Brown, flipped him from Texas. He had originally committed to the Longhorns for Bo Davis when he was the D-line coach. Now he flips to LSU. He's a 4-star. And then Zion Williams coming out of Lufkin, which is obviously a great program in Texas, coming out of East Texas. But boy, did he skyrocket on Monday. And a lot of people had said in East Texas that, hey, look, this is one of the better D tackles out there. He went from a 3-star all the way up to not just a 4-star, but a top 100 player on On3. I think he's now the number 6 or 7 defensive tackle in America. So that's a big addition, 2 of them. And then one more in Damian Shanklin, the number 1 player in Indiana, who this is one where I think we're starting to see Kevin Peoples, the new LSU's defensive ends coach, kind of flex his muscles a bit. He's gotten 2 commits, both out of state, both top 100 guys. So Landon Damian Shanklin was a big one. And 15 commits right now, boys. 13 of the 15 are in the top 300 on On3.
Wow.
And they've got the highest blue chip rate. So that would be anyone who's a 4-star or 5-star. They have the highest blue chip rate, 13 to 15, or I think it's 14 to 15.
14 to 15.
Anyone in the country. So that sort of gives you a feel for some teams have 22 commits, some teams have 20, some teams have 12 or 10. LSU's kind of right in that middle ground of where everybody's pacing towards signing day. But nobody has more, I guess the simplest way to put it, nobody has more quantity over quality than LSU right now.
But
quality over quantity.
There is one other team that does have the same raw blue chip 14 to 15, and that is, again, the Oregon Ducks. And Rick Neuheisel has some quotes floating around out there about how it's no real secret that Phil Knight has basically said, look, Oregon, you get unlimited NIL money. I'm 86. I want a championship. According to the experts, yourself and everybody else in that business, is that kind of what is viewed as in terms of Phil Knight's relationship with Oregon right now? Is it I know like Ohio State, right, has been rumored to put about $13 million into this roster, and we've all kind of painted that as maybe the high watermark. Like, are Oregon and Phil Knight, are they trending around that number? Like, are they amongst the highest in the country?
I love that you asked this, because if Jacob would have asked you this, I'd have given him the very real answer of they're moving towards a revenue. Everyone feels we're going towards a rev share model, and maybe by a year from now we'll be there. Well, in a rev share model, it's going to be something like the NFL, right, where you have different caps and you guys can make different amounts and all the different levels of year 1, 2, 3. I think that with that coming, people see, well, let's just spend our money now. If we're getting to a rev share to where we get to a point where then with the however you assign kind of NIL out, it's not wild, wild west where team A outspends team B. I think this cycle you're going to see teams like Oregon just say, hey, let's spend as much money as we can. And if the legislation comes through that we have to do it differently a year from now or 2 years from now, well, we didn't waste any time when it was the wild, wild west. And you could go out there and give a kid an NIL deal that's bigger than what anybody on the staff beyond the head coach makes. So that's kind of the buzz coming out of Eugene right now. And it makes sense, right? Because the other part of that question would be, when you said it, T-Bob, I'm 86 now. What's the cutoff if you're super rich of, my team just needs to win? Like, was 85 not good? You hit 86 and say, you know what, I'm done with that. I got to win. I think I would have already been there.
Well, but maybe it has less to do with his actual age and more to do with just how the NIL market's developed, right? Like now he can. Now he can fully be unabashed in his investment in Oregon. And with the rev share thing, though, like, wouldn't NIL just be in addition to? Like, because if everybody's going to be sharing the same amount of... Go ahead.
Yeah, but then about how it would break out for... Essentially, I think there's a hope, at least, that each school in some way would be working in kind of relatively the same ballpark, to where when you get, you can allocate out these funds to where you're not a Miami or an A&M or an Oregon, to where you can just say, I'm going to just keep going and going and going. And do I have an answer to that? No, not exactly what they're going to do, but every coach out there I talk to says it needs to be similar to how you would build kind of an NFL contract, for instance, or how the NFL uses a model, what a max would be or what a minimum would be, and things like that. And I think something like that has to come. Like, there has to be some more rules and regulation to this, because look, we saw it when the spring portal. That might be the best example. DTs who wouldn't be recruited by these teams out of high school were making more than the team's quarterbacks now were. Like, there were guys, I couldn't remember exactly who it was, but there was a DT who maybe, let's say, a Jacoby Hiller level, if not a little bit better. Texas was on him, and Texas comes out and said he wanted more than Quinn Ewers gets in an NIL deal, and he would be a rotational DT for us. So I think they want to get into a spot where, almost like the NFL, and the high-value DN, offensive line, quarterback, corner, you kind of know the positions that bring good, big NIL packages, and we see it right now. These kids at the On3 NIL series filled out for us anonymously. Look, but here's my position. Here's the biggest NIL package I was offered, all this. And it matched up to exactly. The quarterbacks were getting offered the most. The next most were your O-linemen, your receivers, your corners, corner above safety. I mean, it almost matched exactly what we see at the NFL.
Yeah. Shea, what's the latest on Keelan Moses? I feel like there's been ripples of wobbles. So, chat's been talking about maybe some Oregon stuff there as well. This is a guy who has felt so solid for LSU. Is there a bit of a wavering there?
I think there's probably, much like an onion, a number of layers you could peel back here and kind of get to the bottom of it. But I think at the end of the day, it comes down to a couple things. One, it's not a ton of fun to be at the first commit, and then all of a sudden you see all your other friends going out there and doing photo shoots and having visits at big schools and all that. I mean, you got to remember, these kids are 16, 17, about to be 18 years old. You want to hang out with mom and sit at home all weekend while you look at your friends all out, having fun in different parts of the country. I think that's one of it. The other part is, and this is something that happens all the time, I think that kids from U-High just also want to go out and experience other things. So he's a U-High kid through and through, meaning he goes to school on LSU's campus, committed to LSU early on, and then wasn't going to take really any visits. So the whole recruiting process didn't exist beyond campus for him. So I think this was a way, A, to just go out and say, hey, I am still a recruit. I'm getting shown the love from these different schools and experience it all. And B, kind of, look, when you're at U-High, that's just my opinion. I didn't go to U-High, but I've seen enough of it, and I would get it. If you go there your whole life, before you step foot in a college classroom at LSU and you stay there another 4 years, you kind of want to go out and have some fun.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.